Yo, how's it going? What is up, YouTubers? Okay, so think a little bit about the old SHTF. Look at this big old truck. Can you see that? How many axles is on that thing? You got the steer axle, 3 drives, trailer with 4 axles, and then a crate on top of that. It's got 4 axles. That looks heavy. Got the old pizza, $16. We're in the loader truck. Had to get pizza, left the kitchen in the other truck. Didn't feel like digging all that stuff out. I was considering making a Walmart stop and just doing a last 5 minutes. You're bugging out, you're in a truck. You know, how you going to go from A to B and have your stuff and eat it too. You know, what would that look like? You know, grab a mess kit and all that kind of stuff. Watch the deal about some security. I had a question that I had to answer. Just talking about depression. They said, you know, the old boy I used to roof with, he's talking about depression. And I was, you know, Thunder Thumbs answered the question. I said, really, it's just being selfish and just looking at yourself so much. You don't even appreciate the breath of God living inside of you. That's really what it is. He just got so selfish. And everything he looked at was somebody's got this and somebody's got that. You know, they're living in the perfect house with the perfect, you know, wife, and, you know, they got a, you know, beach body and all this other kind of, you know, this device tells us what we're supposed to value and stuff like that. And of course, you know, if there's some dude on there, you know, this dude's been, you know, doing what it takes to have 6-pack abs, which I don't know anybody that enjoys that process. You know, he's not gonna get on there and be like, I'm considering suicide because getting this 6-pack is very hard, and I'm, you know, carb deficient to the point of suicide. Anyway, this other old boy, he just was, you know, he's fresh off addictions and stuff like that and everything. And I'm like, look, man, be glad that you can breathe. You know, it's depression and suicidal thoughts are absence of gratitude. I don't know anybody that's like, I'm going to kill myself. Thank you, Jesus, for this breath. Thank you, Jesus, that I can move all my fingers. I can talk. I have glasses so I can see that truck over there without everything being blurry. I mean, I can just go on and on. And I can go 2 weeks without counting my blessings. I don't feel too good. Oh, what's it for? Blah, blah. Then, like, you take it to the next level. Driving around. Of course, you know, I pay my bills by driving the truck. But it gives me opportunity to run into random people and evangelize, give out Bibles, and be a, you know, genuine force for good in the earth. If nothing else, tell somebody at their job, hey man, you're doing a good job. You know, what's Jesus' blood type? Be positive, right? You know, tell the jokes, make it work, make it make sense. Now on the hard day, I'm like, well, this is messed up, and that's messed up, and this loader truck is like driving a basketball bouncing down the road, and this is messed up. Don't get to go home, and I don't have enough hours. Got the opportunity to go home, but the clock says to the house is 8 hours, and I've only got 5. Yay. Plus, it's a Sabbath, so I ain't supposed to be driving. Then the Lord gives me opportunity. But this guy says, you know, basically, why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel like I should kill myself? I'm like, why does that happen? I put my mind to it, you know. I see stuff about, you know, they're about to sign into law where you got to speak, you got to show the DOT that you can speak English and read and write a report, a DVIR, and do a logbook. They can ask you to do that in English, and you got to be able to basically read, write, be fluent in English, or they'll like give you a ticket and impound your truck in a semi. You know what I mean? The DOT's cracking down, and it's passed everything, and they just wait for the governor to sign the bill, and they will be off and running with that deal. So, where does that leave all these guys in Texas that can't read, write English proficiently enough to do the job? That leaves them without a job. And once it hits in Arkansas, it'll probably spread to other places. So we're going to need about 65,000 truckers, is my guesstimation, depending on how it goes. Okay, so is that a big deal in Nebraska? Probably not. Missouri? Nope. Texas? Enormous deal. Where do I work? Texas. Okay, so I'm on the thing, click, clack, and thunder thumbs. Hey, man, go to Peterbilt, get evaluation, see how many trucks you can get, you know what I mean? And just like be prepared to take a receipt, start a hiring campaign. Because we got contract freight, right? So we're contracted to take this freight to a certain area, recruit in that area, and just be like, hey, we'll get broker loads to come down and get the contract load. You got, the contract's a contract. You know what time they want it. So you got the guy here, and then when he goes back, deliver the load, do a 34-hour break, get the hours back. You got 34 hours to book a backhaul, and you know the contract, right? So there you go. You know what I mean? And then for the driver, say he lives at Allentown, Pennsylvania. If that's the case, we got a lot of stuff going to the Northeast. He delivers over in New Jersey. You know what I mean? Might even have a broker load right there, a block away. Pick it up. Make sure he's got time to get home. Maybe do a 34. Drive down, go back up, 34 at the house. That dude right there, the big sell would be, in the wintertime, you're not stuck in the snow. Because that's been my experience with going with Mexican freight, right? So that and a couple other things, like we know it's going to boom. So when it booms, because low capacity equals big rates. So they did promise a freight rate bonus system, because nobody does that. Nobody gives a company driver a bonus when times are good. And then when times are bad, like the company's doing bad, they're just barely keeping drivers, whatever, which is where their industry's been for a couple of years. But there's going to be this boom, and then everybody's going to want stuff. The price of equipment's going to double or whatever else like that. So if you lock in today's price for equipment, taking receipt of 2 trucks ahead of your hiring schedule, hire 100 dudes, you know what I mean? Bring it, get if you qualify for, this would be a company, they'll probably do 200 units. Take receipt of 2 straight out the gate, hire dudes to drive them. As your hiring goes in, take receipt of more trucks, blah, blah, whatever. Well, with this market the way it is that, everything's going crazy and stuff like that, dude, go to investors and get seed money. Go to investors, get your seed money, and be like, hey, here's the business plan. This is what we're doing. Here's, we've hauled, for 10 years, we've satisfied this contract, and here's 100 more contracts. You know what I mean? Actively operating 400 plus trucks, plus over 1,000 trailers that stay loaded on a regular basis. We can hire these because we know that Arkansas is doing that stuff where, like half our fleet can't speak English. So we need to hire up here. So that's what we're going to do that to get this guy up here. He ain't going to drive no international with 600,000 miles on it. This dude wants to drive a brand new Peterbilt. So we're going to buy these Peterbilts to get these drivers before they realize that in 90 days they could get hired on at 20 cents per mile higher, which is about what we're looking at. And then we're going to throw that out there as a bonus, you know what I mean, but not at 20 cents. We're going to say a by the load bonus. So if this load pays an extra $1,000, you know what I mean, we're going to give you $50 extra. You know what I mean? Which $50 bonus is pretty good for something that she's going to do anyway. Whatever, blah, blah, W-2 type of guy. You know what I mean? You hit this dude, he does a load down and a load back, and this one's a little extra here, a little extra there. He gets a C note on top of his check. Hey, that's a good deal. That's a real good deal. And you use that 4 times in the month, and then you get a production bonus, 12,000 miles. You get, $700 there, plus your 400. Hey, that's $1,100 bonus this month, because times are good and we're sharing the wealth. And then when it tightens up or whatever else like that, no bonus. It's like, okay, you're getting job stability because we're going to still be around, and you're getting to drive from the edge of Texas to Mexico and then back to the edge of Texas. Probably not going to have snow. So that's 2 days of driving in good weather most of the year. Like, I probably, in the last 4 years of driving for this company, I've spent less than 2 weeks driving in snow. That's a big deal when you get paid by the mile. That's an enormous deal. Go drive for a year from freaking Seattle to Chicago. Drive up there in Wisconsin all winter long, and you tell me how much is 73 degrees in Laredo. Tell me the difference. Okay, but then here's the thing. The border companies is a pain in the ass. I mean, they're like, you'll get hung up for 2 days trying to figure it out. So, but we got it figured out, man. So if this dude is dropping hook and go, buddy, it's a wrap, dude. It's a wrap. They're sitting in the perfect position to capitalize on the next boom. So thank COVID, but all the freight that was coming in off the ports from the side is all going to be coming up from Mexico, because Mexico's the new China. You see what I'm saying? And this company is like, they have umpteen warehouses. They have thousands of trailers. They probably got, I guarantee you there's 40 trailers sitting on the yard right now at one lot. I guarantee you there's 40 trailers ready to go right now. And they're going to lose half their drivers. And they're already brokering out because we're already over capacity now. You know what I'm saying? With all the tariffs and the slowdowns and blah, blah, blah. Dude, it's gone. God puts me in the perfect position. Dude, I answered the ad in the paper, roofing must be willing to travel. I get to Florida. Dude, within a few months, like, I'm running a company. I'm running a 17-man crew. I don't even have a driver's license. I was standing out there with my woman and was at the Intercoastal, and we see this ship coming, and it's got in the Intercoastal waterway, they got to drive zigzag. And it turned sideways, and it said advanced roofing on the side of a yacht. I looked at her and I said, where are we at? What is this? It's something. I'm telling you, it's something. And then, like, I ended up moving to DFW, doing remodel work. And at the time, there was 400 people a day moving to DFW. And, like, the explosion of handyman work and stuff like that. And then it's like, it's so hot or whatever, I started getting sick. I look at a truck in traffic one day and I said, Lord, I'd sure like to drive one of them, because I just noticed the guy wasn't sweating. You know what I mean? And I remember the nostalgia back in the day, which it's a lot different now than it was, but I'm not sweating. So that's a big deal for me, because I've had heat stroke from working too hard, blah, blah, whatever. So I gave that to the company. So this morning I wake up and I'm like, this is bad. And I feel yucky. And yeah, just problem after problem. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, F this nonsense. Right now, thrilled to death. Why? Because I reached out. So, like, I beat depression today by talking about depression, and I beat, like, not having a job by, reviving industry and putting two and two together. Just connected dots. You know what I mean? And I wanted to put this on here because, like, the way you beat it is you go do stuff for other people. You just be about the Father's business. Do the Father's business. Don't worry about nothing else. All right. Raquel, go get them. It's the path to victory. You can't lose if you're doing it for God, and that's where your heart's at, and that's where your mind and your skills at. You cannot lose. You can't outgive God. You're maturing into greatness. Raquel.